what are we talking about?
Today we are doing a second part of our relationship checklist, and we're talking about what women want in a relationship. Hi everyone, by the way.
Hi. Also.
We want to look over some traits women look for in men. We're not gonna read articles and discuss them like we did last time. We just went over a couple of articles and some videos on YouTube and wrote down the most common traits women say they want. And then after we talk about them, I want to share my own
Checklist?
It's not really a checklist.
Qualifications?
No. I guess I want to share a couple of traits that I distilled from the whole barrage of traits that you may want, but I consider these to be more important ones because I did focus on other things before in my early 20s, and my perception has changed quite significantly over the past decade.
Alright, well, let's get into it then, and then we can get to your stories a bit later.
Oh no. Oh, I'm supposed to share stories too.
Yeah, sure, they've got to... Yeah, you have to accompany your selections with supportive stories. Alright, let's go.
I'll have to pick something that's not mean to anyone.
Mean's fine. It's a safe space for meanness here. This is a male reading the preferred traits from a female for the very first time. Number 1, good looks, which goes hand in hand with height.
Yeah.
A taller suitor.
Yes.
Elaborate.
Well, basically every article that we went over, and most of the videos, I think, if not all of them, women do say that they want a tall man, someone who's taller than them. And of course, decent looking.
Well, you don't want a potato, so that's fair.
Hey, if you're into potato.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, wanting good looks is alright, I guess. If you deliver looks as well. I think that you should want something that's in your category. Right? In your weight category, so to speak. You have to be very realistic about what you bring to the table, and...
You have to be realistic. You don't want someone outside of your league.
Probably not. So it's going to be hard to maintain.
Yeah, that raises issues on its own.
Yeah, and when it comes to height, a lot of women say 6 feet or taller. And that eliminates probably around 80% of all males.
Yeah. And myself.
Yeah, yourself as well. I did have that before. I do come from a country where statistically men are taller. And I grew up around tall men. My dad's very tall, it's like 190. My ex was like 20 centimeters taller than me. I don't know how much that is in feet, but...
Was he the same height as your dad or taller?
Taller, 193 or so. Yeah, so I'm used to being around tall men. And I kind of also thought that was important before. But then it was really funny when we watched that video. Oh no, I watched it by myself. There were those two guys, they have a YouTube channel, they talk about all sorts of stuff. They went out into the street and asked women about the height, is it important? And 100% of their respondents said yes, and they want a taller man. And then they asked, is it then okay if a guy wants a certain weight of a woman? And they were like, no, that's horrible.
That's a valid question.
That's horrible. And they're like, but how is that different? And their reasons, they also asked why. Why do you want a taller man? Their reasons were, I want to wear heels. I want someone to properly, be able to pick me up and carry me. And all sorts of kind of pretty shallow stuff. And then when they asked about the weight, and they're like, but that's exactly the same.
Yeah, you want to be able to carry her.
Exactly, I guess. But then they reacted that, oh, that's not fair. But you also talked about how that is probably biological and kind of linked to wanting to be protected.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess it's a safety thing, feeling secure, feeling like your partner can handle themselves and protect you if need be. So that seems like a very simple biological need.
So they need to be larger than you. I guess that makes sense from a biological perspective, but...
The most interesting thing there is that women can control their weight, but you can't control your height.
Yeah, that's pretty determined.
So that's pretty unfair.
Yeah, it is unfair.
From everything we've read, good looks, and then this second point were number 1 and 2. The order can be switched, but these two were more often than not the two at the top of every woman's list.
Yeah. When it comes to good looks, for me personally, certain looks portray health aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like either end of the spectrum, but when I look at your physique, I want to be able to tell if you take care of yourself. Yeah, so I can tell from the way you look that you work out and that you eat well. And you don't have to have six-pack abs or anything like that. When it comes to height, I stepped outside of my comfort zone with you because we are the same height. We're both 5'8".
Yep.
Whatever that means in American numbers, I have no idea. Because in centimeters, that's like, what, 173?
Yeah, thereabouts.
So in Lithuania, that's probably pretty short. But in Australia, I see that it's more common that men here are generally shorter than in Eastern Europe.
I think it's how poor nutrition stunts our growth.
Heat and humidity should help you grow. Well, you're not a plant, I guess.
I must have missed the photosynthesis in my early years.
Yeah, but now that I think of it, other traits outweigh height. It's not even a contender. And I also discovered all of the benefits of added sexual possibilities.
With like same-heightedness?
Yes. Yeah. Everything standing up did not exist in my sex life before.
You said even kissing your ex was awkward because you had to like break your neck to do it.
You have to stand on your tippy toes and then, yeah, and it kind of get a neck pain. Yeah, but I thought it'd be weird for me, but I did not feel any...
I think you've adapted well.
Discomfort or weirdness at all.
I guess there's perks both ways. Alright. Number 2 on the list. Humor. Elaborate.
This is gonna be an interview.
That's my word of the day. Maybe every podcast we should have a word of the podcast.
Maybe.
A word of the episode.
Interview's your word of the day?
No, elaborate. That's my word of the day. Now elaborate.
Are you done with the peripheral? Are you done with it?
Yeah, I'll probably start to phase it out.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So you have like a monthly word or quarterly word?
Yeah, and then I kind of have a cool down period while I bring the next word in. So
So the days where you use peripheral 10 times in one conversation are over.
Actually, can I revise my new word? I'd like to use divulge in place of elaborate.
In place of peripheral.
Yeah, I think divulge and elaborate are similar, but they're different. But I prefer divulge.
Ah. Because you want to sound stuck up.
No, I just enjoy being able to articulate what I wish to speak.
And use words that most people would not understand.
That seems like a them problem.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Snooty. When it comes to humor, I agree. It's very important.
Is it so important it should be in the top 2 of pretty much every woman's list?
I don't know if every woman needs that, but I personally do need it badly. Because
the way I see it... Sorry, I'll let you finish and then I'll talk. How's that sound?
No, you talk.
You sure?
Yeah.
Right. So I just have a brief note.
Okay.
I see it as women enjoying the boyish, playful side of men. That's where the humor comes into it.
I see it as women wanting to be entertained.
Well, that too, yeah. But I think there's definitely something to wanting that playful side.
I guess so. There's a wide range of humor abilities and understanding abilities. I don't mean to suck my own dick, but I think I'm pretty funny.
Yeah, you're probably the funniest person I've met. You make me laugh every single day. So, well done. You've passed the test. You mentioned that in our marriage vows, actually.
I did. I'm gonna make you laugh every day. That's what I said.
Mm-hmm. And so far...
I'm keeping up my end of the
bargain. I think you missed one.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think you missed one, but you were kind of in a really bad mental place that day, and humor just was not on the radar. So... It
happens.
Yeah.
But then other days, I compensate because I make you laugh.
Like all day.
So for me, it is very, 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 very important, the humor. Especially because I'm sarcastic and I like this kind of harsher humor. And in my past relationship, I really did not get that banter that I was craving. I would, say something funny and then, I would make my ex laugh, but I never got the feedback. And I would say something and I would come up with a comeback for myself. So I would be like in this situation where, you go for a high five and you're left hanging because nobody meets you up there. It's just like, damn it. I want to have that mutual exchange and banter and then on the same level.
And I think that just doesn't come up onto people's radars when you joke with them. Their mind just doesn't go to that place where they develop the comeback and...
Yeah, and so I think it's really important when it comes to humor to find someone that your humor is compatible with. Because if they have, a very intellectual humor or a very dark humor or something, even something offensive, and you're not about that, then you're gonna have problems and you're probably gonna try to prevent them from even going there, and that's also gonna be bad for them and for you, and it's just, yeah, so.
Especially for someone who enjoys being funny. And for it to kind of hit a brick wall when it goes to their partner, that's very off-putting and sort of kind of like a form of rejection, I suppose, if that's
longest
important.
10 years of my life.
It's okay. You're safe now.
Yeah, but I have that with you. And what's amazing about you is that you have even like a different approach. If I can come up with a comeback for myself, you will give me even something entirely different and surprise me even quite often. So that's fascinating. I love it.
I do enjoy the element of surprise.
Yeah. So, yeah, but our humor is quite compatible. And I've spent a very long time in a relationship that I wasn't. I remember that joke that stand-up comedian made. That she was so hot, she was, I don't get jokes hot.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're that hot, maybe you don't need a funny man.
I guess so. Yeah, they don't get jokes anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So are we done with this one?
Yep.
Okay.
Next one. Money. Which dictates social value.
Yes, and I think we can merge that with chivalry. And generosity.
Yes. A lot of women use the word generous. They'll say, I want a man who's generous and giving. Yeah. What's that mean?
They don't always say money or like wealth.
What's that mean?
Yeah, but in articles, your financial status is basically mentioned everywhere.
Yeah, so let's not go over the obvious perks of money. Financial stability and buying nice things. Because I think there's something extra in that women want to use it as a resource and they want to be taken care of financially rather than, at least a lot of the time, contribute equally.
Yet another phrase that I remember from one of the funny videos that I watch a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
It's this guy saying, women don't build, they move in.
Yeah, and this is a sweeping generalization, but we've both seen it many times. There's definitely a trend.
Yeah, I personally think that a man who has money can keep the excitement going.
Yes, yeah.
You get the stability, financial security, and all that, but then with the regular guy who's, barely making ends meet, maybe, that's all you're getting. Maybe he's gonna be stable, but there's no perks. With a rich guy, you can get all the excitement and, travel or whatnot, and you can...
Spontaneity.
Yeah, and that will keep the excitement going, which is crazy important for women.
So
they
lifestyle.
get bored. Women get bored in monogamous relationships a lot sooner. Don't come at me for this because it's been tested and proven. You can,
over and over again.
Yeah, women actually get bored faster, which is the opposite of what people thought before. If you don't have money, you need to be creative and you need to be able to entertain yourself. As a woman, sometimes you need to, also make an effort and find ways to create something.
I think there's also an element here of having money and therefore social value will put the man in a position of power, relative power in society. It's like a hierarchical benefit to having money.
Kind of a prestige.
Yeah, just where they're placed, and that power thing is probably attractive to most people, but especially to the woman. I guess they would enjoy seeing their partner in a higher position of power.
Probably. Another issue I see with this that I've seen in quite a few videos or interviews, when women are asked how much more money does a man have to make, how much more than you. And I've heard on multiple different occasions women saying at least twice as much as I make.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is quite a lot. Yeah, but I think those women that I've seen say that are a certain type of a woman. They kind of have this...
Gold digger vibe?
Probably, yeah. One of those women that I've seen on TikTok saying, I have 3 men on my phone saying that they love me, yet I had to pay for my own hair and nails. Explain that. One of those women. So, clueless, no self, respect or introspection whatsoever. Mm-hmm. The more a woman is like that, the more money she's going to want you to have. But in our last episode, we talked about men going for those women quite a lot. And he got burned, but still going back. So that is kind of...
This is pretty much Dr. Dre's wife, right?
Pretty much.
Poor bastard.
He fucking had a stroke and just signed the papers like, fuck, I'm not having any more of this shit. Just take it. Take your freaking, I don't know, what she want, like 500 million? Or like a couple of million a month?
Yeah, ridiculous.
That's just something insane. And she already was getting hundreds of thousands a month, and it was not enough. Where the fuck is she spending that? Yeah, don't marry women like that.
Lip injections. Butt injections.
Yeah, well.
Too bad you
Let's
can't
hope
get
they leak.
personality injections.
Oh, of course.
Character injections.
Yeah, okay, so another extra thing when it comes to social value and wealth is that older men have an advantage.
They're further along, yeah.
Yeah, they had more time to accumulate, wealth and work for things, and a lot of women want an older guy.
Besides those reasons, are there others to want an older guy?
I don't know. I myself go for younger, so I cannot elaborate on that one. You're younger than me, and I wouldn't have it in any other way.
Why?
So.
Please divulge.
Because I'm vain.
Do you want me to look young for as long as possible?
Yeah. I want you to be pretty to look at. I want to have a butt to pinch for longer.
I'd like my scrotum to remain above my knees for as long as possible.
Yeah. A little bit longer. Yeah. I think I look very young for my age, and I'm...
You do.
Pretty immature, so we match up perfectly.
Yeah. Perfectly suited. I don't know if... Because men pretty much... I think you said this yourself. Men, if given the option, will pick a woman in their 20s. Even if a man is in their 40s or 50s, if given the option, they would go for a woman in their 20s rather than 30s, 40s, 50s.
Statistically, unfortunately, yes. Men will, if they have, especially if they have, every woman wants this guy, the, wealthier, older, whatever. And statistically, they tend to go for younger. So they will probably not pick a woman in her 30s or 40s.
That's purely based on sex, basically.
That is based on biology. That's a biological drive. Mm-hmm. You would go for someone who's more fertile, based on purely biological things.
fertile and their body is firm and like, yes, it's biological, but a lot of that translates to they're more attractive generally.
Yeah, well, I don't consider only physiological things to be all there is.
Yeah, of course.
Such that young girl might not have any personality, and she's gonna be
a lot
bored
of
to
other
tears.
reasons other than reproduction and sex for a man to go for a woman in her 20s.
Yeah.
They aren't offering much else.
Yeah, especially like early 20s.
Neither are men, so I would understand that for both parties.
But biologically, a woman is her highest peak, like highest value biologically, probably in her 20s, in her early mid-20s. If you were talking about reproduction, then it's the most fertile period. It starts to decline, like late 20s, early 30s. So it does make sense, but only from a biological perspective. And I detest biology. So...
That should be our tagline.
I detest biology.
Yeah.
No, it's for other reasons. I don't deny anything. It's just that I think humans have so much more potential than just writing it out on biological factors, and most people still do, and that fucking annoys me. So, yeah, but that's a different topic. Okay, so we can talk about chivalry. It's on the list.
Sure.
But that also ties into the same thing, you know. And we are going to talk about chivalry. We want to make a completely separate...
Alright, well, I won't do my origins of chivalry spiel then. I'll leave that for the other episode.
Yeah, because we want to dive in and analyze that.
Last points. Kind and caring, which kind of ties in generous. So I think we've covered everything.
Wait, is that the last point? I think there's a bad boy thing.
We skipped some stuff. Alright. We skipped stuff.
Yeah, let's go with kind and caring first.
Okay.
So, kind and caring, I think you want, as a woman, someone that treats you well and cares about you, and also being kind and caring probably will make you a good father.
Yep.
So that's
why women love guys with dogs.
Yeah, I think that's very attractive.
Shows a sense of being able to care for another creature outside of themselves. Dogs are the gateway drug to babies.
And another thing that popped up on some lists was playing hard to get and kind of a bad boy. Yeah, so when you're playing hard to get...
is that attractive?
I don't know, up to a point.
You don't want someone who's throwing themselves at you, but you don't want someone who's playing games either.
Well, women like to be pursued. They love to be chased. So if a guy... But then... If a guy just gives into that and always chases the woman, she loses interest in him.
Yeah.
So if a guy is kind of unattainable, that'll probably get her, intrigued and her attention. And I don't know how far you should take that.
It's like a cat and mouse game, I suppose.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of...
It's a dance.
Fun. Yeah, I guess so. And being a bad boy, the danger, the tingles, and the excitement. If you don't have money, you better have some other traits that make you
edge.
Make you interesting.
The stuff I've read on this, a lot of it goes back to being protective again. Someone who is willing to jump headfirst into dangerous situations, take risks. To an extent, they, I guess, will show a bit more resilience in a confronting situation. There is a downside, and women will only be attracted to the bad boy to an extent, because at a point the risk taking is too risky and they will not make a suitable provider.
Yeah.
Because there's a thing about, I haven't seen it supported, but anecdotally, women being attracted to that sociopathic, sort of almost bipolar, a bit mentally unstable guy. It's like this, I don't know, even like when
neurotic guy.
When you when you were talking about, say, in your, I think it was kind of your teenage years, you sort of had this thing for the
neurotic artist,
the tortured artist. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I fancied myself as an artistic soul, so...
Yeah, but there was something very alluring about that, too.
Yeah, but I also felt like it's so unstable. I don't want to stay there for too long.
But the initial attraction is there. What do you think it is?
I grew up around a lot of artists, and I was hanging around them in my teen years because I was, well, posing, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
I was creating a certain image, this kind of intellectual, beyond my years, tortured soul character. One of the best parts about communicating with those people for me was they often have a slightly different perception of the world.
They're very interesting to talk to.
Yeah. They view the world from like the outskirts of society sometimes. The conversations were definitely interesting and deep, and you get a certain perspective, and it probably just stimulated my young mind to talk to these older people that are probably not like conformists? Conformists? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's something, at least for me, it's not only for women, because I have this as well, where I find most people just ridiculously boring, and I don't like engaging in small talk. So if I want to talk at all, because a lot of the time I don't, I want to talk about something that's a bit more stimulating, you know?
Yeah, I do. I totally agree. Then again, people's interests are very different. You might seem boring to someone who has completely different interests than you.
Oh, no doubt.
So.
No doubt.
Okay, so these were the most common traits that we came across. Do you want to talk about yourself and tell people how you're a bad boy?
Am I? Do you want me to be? I have elements.
I think you have a vibe just because you are quite indifferent.
Either indifferent or contrarian. A bit of both. Some things I'll have indifference towards. Other things I will have a very, contrarian position or opinion of. There's a lot of things that I kind of just don't talk to people about because they'll probably judge you unreasonably for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a risk-taking bad boy. Not really. I mean, I dabble. But
that was the word of a month before the peripheral.
Yeah, that was my word for a while. Sometimes I relapse. It's just a good word. I have to. It's a good word. It's perfect. So sometimes I dabble in bad boy-ery.
Yeah, you care a lot about people that are close to you, and they,
I really don't care about most others.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And that can come off as cold-hearted. But then I have the same thing. I can be very caring for people that are close to me and who I genuinely, love. And then I don't care about so many other things that I've been called cold-hearted.
Yep. I've been
so
called
many times.
A robot for being like emotionless. So for a long time, during probably my teens, early 20s, it was
that is so weird. Because you're actually full of emotions.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anyone who actually knows me knows very well that I am a emotional army tank. Just shooting my emotions all over the place.
Yeah, like a typical Cancer.
Alright. Cut off the recording. That's it.
Okay, enough poking at you. Let's talk about some of the traits that I found to be very important. And that led me to this relationship.
Let's go.
Let's go.
To the list.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Are we just gonna keep doing that?
Yeah.
To anywhere? And you want me to make the Batman sound?
Yeah.
Okay, deal. So
that's in our relationship zeitgeist now.
Number 1 at the top of my list is integrity.
These are in order, correct? Or relative order?
more or less, maybe?
Yeah.
Definitely integrity is at the top of the list. You want to say anything?
No, I was just thinking how we'd break these down maybe into a pie chart or something with percentages of importance. Never mind. Continue. Continue.
Now I don't know what to say.
You're onto
Can you?
integrity.
Integrity.
Is that a thing? Gratuity is a thing.
No. Can you elaborate on your integrity, please?
Oh, sure. I'm integral. You want me to, like, define it?
Yeah.
Alright. Welcome to Robbie's Dictionary. Integrity. Adjective? Adjective?
I don't know.
Alright, let's go with adjective.
You're the English speaker here.
I'll go with adjective. The correlation between what you say and what you do. It is how you behave around one person or group of people and how accurately you replicate that around other people or other groups of people.
Thank you.
Would you like me to use it in a sentence?
Yes.
I have integrity.
Yeah, you do. Okay, so integrity is...
Wait.
Oh,
Let me close my
on.
dictionary.
That's my notebook. Give it back.
Oh, I lost your page.
Yes, you did.
They didn't have the stomping effect I wanted.
Yeah, so having integrity for me means that, you keep your word and you're honorable. I would trust you to not lie about anything either. So there's just so many things that are tied into this one word. It's one little word with a very big meaning. And it's kind of a big part of your character. So, and to me that is very important because I can trust you completely, and that also brings out the respect for you.
That's an important thing in any relationship in your life.
Yeah. And we talked about women having to give respect in order to be able to be in that relationship at all. So a lot of these traits that from integrity and others that I will talk about, I think when your man has those traits, it's probably almost impossible to disrespect. For women, mentally, it's extremely important. That settles a woman's mind when she can respect her man. So, okay, so after integrity, I put down a strong spine. Really, really, really don't like spineless men. Unfortunately, women tend to want to control and mold their men, which basically a requirement for that is spinelessness. So, you bitches got it wrong.
Yeah, stand your ground, men.
It's all the things that you hear the men being, pushed and directed and coordinated. All of these little details you hear, like, oh, you don't know what pants you got because she got them for you. You don't know what your bedsheet thread is because she got them, and you put something on, she looks at you and says, oh, you're not wearing that. It's all of these things, these like small things, and well, these are quite superficial things, but then it comes to your personality, and then that needs to be coordinated too, and then what you say and how you behave and how you dress and how you act and what you eat and who you associate with, and then men start to lose their friends because the woman doesn't like it, that friend, and it's just like, and that to me is like, where is your spine?
Well, this also applies to men outside of the relationship. If your woman sees you surrendering easily to pressures at work or with other friends or any other situation, surely that's a turn-off.
I don't know if it's a turn-off for every woman. Because a man like you would be very, very hard to boss around. I think women need to start wanting that in their life. Instead of wanting to control everything and, micromanage everything, they should start looking at men that stand their ground and have this character that is a huge value instead of being a nuisance. But it's considered to be a nuisance. Like, you have an opinion? No, you have your wife's opinion.
Yeah. Like you watch the videos and it's a man and a woman speaking on camera, and every time the man speaks, he kind of looks at his wife for approval.
Yeah. Personally, just immediately I can't respect him. Okay, so another one for me was intellectual equal, and
this ties in with the humor thing quite a lot.
I was about to say that, but thank you.
Oh, well, you don't need to know. Next.
So, humor is important, and having conversations is important as well. To me, a shallow man with no intellectual capacity would probably be a big no-no, a big turn-off.
That's one of the biggest turn-offs, like, for myself.
Oh? So you wouldn't date a guy who is not intellectual?
It depends how hung he is.
You mean how low his testicles are?
Yeah.
If
Depends
they're not,
how hung his testicles are.
If they're not reaching the water in the toilet bowl, he's not interested.
Yeah. Uh-huh. If they don't slap his nipples when we doggy style, I don't want it.
How do we go from intellectual equal to...
Because obviously
testicles?
we're intellectually equal.
We have a combined intellectual capacity of a 5th grader. What I meant to say was, you need to be able to talk to each other and discuss various topics and have those kind of deep, comprehensive discussions sometimes. If there's no intellectual compatibility, then it might get pretty boring, or you're going to end up having separate lives and not even being able to properly talk to each other.
Especially if that's something you really, really enjoy doing.
Yeah.
I think a Venn diagram would work very well here, where you sort of want overlap in certain elements. You want to have probably space where you don't necessarily need to share it all together, and you can kind of do your own thing here and there, but you want to have a lot of common ground to relate to each other with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's something intimate about sharing a lot of a broad range of concepts with your partner as well.
It's so satisfying.
Yeah, you get to know them a lot better.
You can talk about anything and discuss everything. That is very satisfying. But then again, maybe not everybody needs it. So just know what you need and what you're capable of. I put down general compatibility after this, but the two most important things in the general compatibility category for me were sex and domestic capability. General compatibility, I would look at all the small things. I think the intellectual one I separated because it's big and it, ties in all of the conversations and humor and everything. Smaller for me, that general compatibility for me personally, I looked at domestic things and I also looked at sex. So domestic things, we did talk about a lot of things before we started living together. We even discussed how we wash dishes, how often we want to tidy the house.
Making the bed.
And do we want to make a bed or not? And we both don't, so, who gives
Perfect.
Yeah, this is perfect. So, all of these little details, because you don't want to fight about everything. And domestic things, in my experience, my relationships, my parents' relationship, start the most fights. It's always about something domestic.
I like little resentments.
I didn't wash the dishes, you put, this in the wrong drawer, and you're like, ugh.
But we kind of just pick up little jobs here and there. We don't necessarily allocate things to people.
No.
Yeah, the thing is we don't get hung up on the details about domestic duties.
Yeah. So being compatible in that is extremely important. Because I grew up watching my parents fight over everything. And my mom would do most of the things, and then my dad didn't do anything, basically. And whenever he tried to do something, he did it wrong. He didn't wash dishes right, he didn't do this right. It's like, not everything is supposed to be how you do it as a woman. So be reasonable.
And in the same vein, if someone shows you a better way to do something, maybe don't fight them. Feel free to adapt to that. If it's better, be humble enough to accept that.
Yeah, because, and if you're one of those women that need 16 decorative pillows on your bed, then it's probably going to be your duty to put them there.
Yeah.
Because no man in this world will ever need that.
It's a chore that he already has to remove them all every night.
Yeah.
He shouldn't also have to put them back on.
I just remembered watching this TikTok. I think I showed it to you. That girl that described 3 traits that kind of drive her crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the traits were like, oh, we're talking, we're chatting, and then you tell me you have some artwork, and I ask you for a picture, and you take it, and it happens to be over your bed or whatever. And what do I see in the picture? 8 pillows on your bed. 6 of them are decorative. She's like, oh my, And I'm like, are you looking for a partner or a gay best friend? Because
hardly any straight men are buying decorative pillows, and if they are, I can almost guarantee it's only to score brownie points with women.
Probably. Hey, you bought a decorative pillow.
That's for the couch. It's not just decorative, it's functional. We use that.
Yeah, we actually nap on it.
Yeah, we use that. It's a great pillow.
There are no pillows in this house.
It just happens to look great.
That no one is allowed to touch.
Yeah, fuck that. I'm not spending money on things that just sit there.
So, being domestically capable to me is a man. I know that a man is going to be able to wash the dishes and do all of these things.
Operate a washing machine.
Operate a washing machine. And other things. And he doesn't need, a housewife, a servant, or a mommy to take care of those things. Or a handyman to
change a light bulb.
Yeah, I mean, I can change a light bulb. That's fine. So, you need to be reasonable and look for that compatibility, but also be kind of realistic about wanting a guy to buy decorative pillows. I don't know where did that come from again? All of a sudden, all beds have decorative pillows on them. Is that like an interior design trend that fucked women up?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just
It's like 30. When I was a kid, there were no decorative pillows in the bedrooms. I've never seen that.
It's a cheap, simple way to make your room look better without any actual effort or talent for interior design.
I guess so. We'll just keep it tidy and you'll be fine.
Do you know what it's like? It's like Pop-Tarts.
Pop-Tarts for bedroom?
Yeah, like it doesn't have to be good. You just throw a bunch of shit together and it's sickly sweet and people go, oh, that's great. No, it's rubbish.
Yeah, okay. The second thing from general compatibility was sex. I don't think that sex is like everything, but it's very important.
It's not everything, but I don't think a relationship is usually going to be successful without compatible sex.
Yeah, that's true.
It's always going to cause issues.
A lot of marriages and relationships are sex deprived, unfortunately. And compatibility in there, if you have compatibility everywhere else, sexual compatibility is gonna enhance everything. That's how I see it. Sexual compatibility on its own is not gonna keep your relationship going. But on top of everything else, it's a great spice, a great enhancer. I think that's important, and we discussed a lot of things before we were even intimate. Because I've had some experiences in the past, and you had some experiences in the past that we did not want to repeat.
If you try it and it's just not clicking, you can always try to fix that. But some people, it just doesn't seem to be fixable, Mm-hmm. So I think in our case, we had so much going for us that it would have been worth the experiment.
Probably, yeah.
But we're fortunate enough that we matched very well.
In a lot of other areas, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not all of them. I don't think it's possible to find an identical person. But all in all, I would say to go for a similar person instead of going for the opposite. Not saying opposites attract is bullshit.
Well, I think the general idea is they attract, but they also lose the attraction quite quick. And often what attracts you to them is what
makes you resent them.
Yeah,
starts to bother you.
What drives you away from them as well.
Yeah. I would say try to find someone who's as similar to you as possible. And people are afraid that that's going to be boring, but I would say that it's the opposite.
That's a great conversation. That's fun. All right, you want to move on?
Yeah, I have a few more left. So we talked about the physical element a little bit at the beginning. I have a certain aesthetic that I like, and I think most people have a type or a preference, and that strongly ties in with health for me. Because I eat fairly well, I tend to work out and, kind of look after myself. I would want someone that does that as well. In my past relationship, I was the only one working out. I guess he had good genetics, which is fortunate, but they usually don't last forever.
Was he healthy though?
Not really, no. A few health issues that he had that I think could have been managed better. But when it comes to looks, he was really lucky. He basically had a tall, lean, and had a six-pack without working out. It's the kind of people you kind of hate a little bit. It's like I'm lifting weights and
busting your ass,
drinking protein smoothies, and you're just like roll out of bed and with a six-pack,
chicken breast, and
drinking beer. I think for you, I really love that you're so capable. It's almost when you look at the person you're with, and just imagine that you take yourself out of their life, and they're still doing everything they're doing. You still eat well, you would still work out, you have your integrity and your intelligence and everything going for you. If I take myself out of your life, you are intact, It's like a lot of marriages and relationships, a woman takes herself out and the guy can do scrambled eggs, and he doesn't even know where she keeps a paper towel. And they're lost little lambs and they need that mommy figure or someone. I really advise against it.
People do lose themselves in relationships.
Men more than women. Women have a pretty strong grip over the whole domestic area. Then men are clueless. I have a great example in my parents. When they split up, my dad literally had to learn to do everything. So,
and even
as
when
a grown man,
with your ex, you had to show him how to use the washing machine.
Yeah, but that was my fault.
You can't say that.
Yes, I can, and I am. I want to do a completely separate episode talking about mothers and their influences, especially on daughters. And I grew up in an environment where a woman does everything. And a man is just like, where you kick him out into like a garage or somewhere. And he's completely incapable of anything. And I grew up with that mindset that I need to do everything.
Isn't that crazy though? It's like a man in the house, there's a lot of stuff that a lot of men can't do. You kick them out into a garage and they'll tear down and rebuild a car in a weekend.
Yeah, but they still don't know where the fucking paper towel is. So... or what brand paper towel you use. I just watched this comedian tonight. He brought paper towel home and his wife was like, in 20 years of marriage, you still don't know what brand paper towel we use. It's like, I do one better. I don't know where you store it either. So, it's kind of in this comedic sense that men never get the right stuff. Yeah, so I grew up in a household where a woman does everything. And everything that a man does is wrong. So in my early 20s, I had that only my methods are correct. So, I just took over. So it doesn't mean he can't do it, I just didn't let him. The reason I had to remind him how to use a washing machine is because I didn't let him do it. Because it has to be this way. My mom taught me to separate this from that and wash this with that and that temperature. And it's just like, I'm sure he's going to do it wrong, and so I'm just going to go and do it. And I take full responsibility for that. Mm-hmm. You don't just roll in and force your way like it's the best way. Unfortunately, I think a lot of women grew up seeing that, and they think that's the way to go. And I think with you, I adopted my laundry habits.
Yeah, we've swapped kind of some stuff over. I've adapted some of your household tactics and vice versa.
Yeah, I actually adapted something from you, and I'm really pleasantly surprised. But since, I've learned my lessons and you have a spine, it's kind of like yeah, I guess it's a normal way to be.
Yeah.
I don't want to enforce my methods anymore, and I value your input. You don't want to be your husband's mother or boss him around all the time. So if you pick a man with a spine who you respect, you'll probably want to get away with that.
So prepare to be adaptable.
Oh, for sure. Just actually take a better look at what you're doing and just think, is that really the only correct way to do it? Probably not. The last one on my list is probably not going to apply to anybody. And for me, it's substance abuse.
Are we talking about abuse or just usage?
Usage as well. I don't usage. So I don't want you to usage. But surprisingly enough, I was ready to make an exception. I knew I really could not ever date a smoker, but I was ready to make an exception when it comes to drinking, because I don't think I've ever met any man that doesn't. So imagine my surprise when I met you and you told me you never really had a drink and you don't plan to. It's just not something you're interested in or want, and me either. I'd never think about it. It's so amazing to not even have that element in our lives. It does not exist.
You cook with it occasionally.
Oh, extremely rarely.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, I don't know, once a year maybe, I'd make a wine sauce, like duck in a wine sauce or something. Or a rabbit stew and cherry beer. Maybe a tiramisu with a little bit of marsala. In food, I find that it can give a little bit of aroma or something. But you cook the alcohol off. I won't get drunk from a wine sauce.
Can I be very, very honest?
Oh no, this is not the place for that.
Oh. I retract my introduction.
Oh, come on. That was sarcasm.
I'm aware, thank you.
A woman's plain.
Alright, there's people who, say, finish work on a Friday afternoon. They've had a long week. They have a beer. Right? I don't have an issue in the world with it. I would judge that in the same way. Actually, I would judge that in a more favourable way than I would someone who wakes up in the morning and needs a coffee before they do anything.
Oh, yeah. You don't drink coffee either.
Tiny bit of cold pressed iced coffee.
Yeah, like
occasionally.
Every fortnight.
Yeah. So, but that whole dependability thing, I see it as being such a, I don't know, like a weakness? It's hard to sound, not sound really judgmental here, but it's just so...
It's self-soothing techniques.
It is, and we all have our vices and things that we need to cope, I suppose. But it's just a massive turn-off for me in every sense of that phrase, you know?
When you say I desperately need something, like...
Yeah, if someone is especially prone to needing that just to function or keep themselves at a certain level of happiness, or that's not
I understand.
Someone that I think I would ever look up to really in... I can't even say that because there's elements of people that I'll look up to outside of that. But I don't know, it says a lot about someone's character.
Majority of people do that.
It's overall weakness in character, perhaps.
But it's in the fabric.
Or maybe they just really enjoy it.
But that's in the fabric of society.
It's because people are weak little bitches. Maybe people just really enjoy it. And is it okay to let that slide?
I don't know. I think we're just being conditioned to...
There's a difference between enjoyment and dependence.
Yeah, But look at people, for example, who drink coffee. They need it. I've seen people do those experiments on YouTube and go off coffee for a month. They have severe withdrawal. That's like drug use. If you have severe withdrawal from caffeine, that means you're probably abusing it. And most people do. But it's like, it's in the fabric of society. It's a normal thing. We're being conditioned into all of these habits and behaviors. And we don't question them. That's the problem. We don't question them. We just go along with it.
It is so bizarre for people to hear I'm assuming you've had the same experience.
That you don't drink coffee?
Mostly alcohol.
People looked at me with very, very big eyes when I tell them I don't drink coffee. They are genuinely surprised.
Yeah. I guess in Europe there's a bigger coffee culture. There's a lot more people here who just don't drink it. So it's not as surprising, but the big surprising thing for people here is not drinking alcohol. If anyone finds out I don't drink alcohol, they are quite surprised. Some people are borderline won't believe it.
Yeah.
They will question me further and further about it.
Or try to make you drink it. That's what
there's some of that.
To me,
there's some of that. And the interesting thing that I find in that is people say, oh, you must be boring. Right? But when you think about it, I'm in like a 1% category. You're the same as 99% of other people, and I'm the boring one.
When it comes to being boring and not drinking alcohol, I've had those experiences myself. I was very outgoing in my late teens, early 20s. We'd go to bars and nightclubs. I love to dance, and I want to dance. I go to a club to dance, not drink. Those are not compatible for me. And then I go with some of my girlfriends, and as a teenager or a young woman, and they would sit around and drink cocktails or beers or whatever. And I'm like, I want to dance. Let's go dancing. And they're like, I need a little drink to kind of loosen up. I'm like, fuck that, And I go and I just dance. I think I only had like one friend in high school that shared a similar sentiment. She would have a quick drink or take a drink when we would sit down to rest, but they would just go and dance all night. And I'm like, I'm boring. I'm having the time of my life, dancing my ass off and just, having a great time. And you're sitting there nursing your drink, trying to, build up courage to go dancing. What the fuck is that?
Being around people drinking is the most soul-destroying, monotonous, boring use of time I think I've ever spent.
I totally
It is
agree.
one of the worst experiences, like social experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I have one last point on substance use. It is selfish.
Drinking is selfish.
Drinking, smoking, drugs, whatever it is.
How come?
Because there are plenty of people around you who care about your health, who care about your quality of life, who care about the long-term detrimental effects. To just assume that it's only a you thing and it's none of their business? Fuck you. It is that simple.
I guess so. I don't think people even think about how unhealthy all of that is. Even when it comes to coffee. People don't think about certain little details when it comes to these. First of all, it's basically medicine. You're medicating yourself. Because coffee has a lot of compounds that are considered to be medicinal. Second, depending on what country you live in, there is storage mold. And some countries have regulations and some don't. For example, European Union has a regulation, and I know that Eastern countries like Japan have the regulations, because when it comes to our agriculture, producing such large amounts requires storage. Storage produces mold, and mold produces toxins. And for example, like in Japan, they would test a shipment of coffee, and they're like, oh, these are unacceptable levels of mold toxin. And they ship it to USA, because USA does not have a mold toxin regulation. I don't know if Australia has a regulation. I'm
assuming so. Australian customs and quarantine regulations are quite strict.
Yeah, so people don't really think about these things. They don't even probably know these things at all. They wouldn't even consider that that's a thing. They would drink 5 cups of coffee a day and they feel like shit because they have mold toxins in their body, poisoning them. And then on top of that, they drink alcohol, which ruins their liver and makes their brains swell.
And the antidepressants.
Literally. And then pop a few pills. This is insane. It's insane. But it's a different topic. I think we might actually talk about these things. Because we are way off topic now.
Yeah, we are.
How do we want to sum this up?
The end.
I would always say to women, be reasonable Try to be reasonable. Evaluate your input. Ditch superficial traits for more important deep ones, because you want to be with someone you respect.
And offer as much as you are requesting.
Oh yeah, for sure. So there it is. Do with that what you want.
We solved all the world's problems.
Yeah, doesn't that feel good?
What's the next episode?
I don't know what the next one is, but we mentioned a couple of different ones that we want to do.
Stereotypes.
Maybe. Sure. Let's do stereotypes.
Right.
Okay, so thanks for listening. Comment, like, subscribe. And also send us emails and messages with your relationship questions, because we want to build up to have a segment or separate episodes where we answer your relationship questions or comment on your stories.
Yeah, so leave comments and stuff, you antisocial bastards.
Yeah, so...
Till the next episode.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.